You guys mind if I stand up?
Do what you gotta do.
So my defining moment happened. I used to work for MySpace. You guys remember MySpace? I used to work for MySpace, and when the economy tanked in like 2009, I lost my job. It was my first job out of college, salary position, great team, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was living in a place in Georgia. I had like zero reception because there were trees all around, and I was making very little money from the stipend that I got when I was laid off. And so I couldn't pay my car note. I could barely pay rent. I could barely pay for food. But every day I went to Starbucks and submitted, I would get on my computer and I would get on Craigslist and I would submit to jobs. And this happened from January to September. And in January, that's when I got hired by a company. They hired my company, Empty Box Media. And that was like the start of like, this is what you should be doing. And that whole year, Mom was like, yo, why don't you just get a regular job? Like, why don't you just go get a regular job? I was like, Mom, I got this. And now she's like, I'm so glad you didn't listen to me. I'm so glad you didn't listen to me because now, like, you can come see me whenever you want. And happiness is such a big thing in my life. And I let that be the precedent. So that was like the defining moment for me when I knew, like, this is what I wanted to do.
To develop it, or
sorry, I'm just gonna stand up
No,
again.
it's fine.
So developing MVPs on ideas is so easy now, and no idea is novel, right? Like, it's all about execution. So there's somebody else that has the same idea as you, and if you slack on getting it done, like, they're gonna get it done first. So with building MVPs, and MVPs in the tech world is minimum viable product, you can create one so easily because of the tutorials that are out online, because of the resources that we have access to now. When I was learning code, I was going into Barnes & Noble and using it like a library. Now there's so many resources. And so I would say that if you have an idea, don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of not executing exactly how you envision it, but just get something done so you can reach a resource that says, hey, I'm gonna give you $50K to actually get this done exactly how you want it, or get a team to get it done exactly how you want it, because it's all about execution right now. So just don't wait on anything you have. Focus on that MVP, focus on execution, and get it done.
just like a follow-up in case anyone had a specific question. Would you encourage someone more to learn how to code on their own, or going into like a boot camp that may cost more money to invest in?
Great question. So coding on your own versus a boot camp, it all depends on your learning style. So if you can teach yourself and you learn that way, I would absolutely say code on your own because you're not spending any money. If you need a boot camp, totally fine. Just make sure you vet the boot camps and look at the reviews from people who have gone through them, look at their attrition rate, and make sure they're teaching the same things that you want to learn, because they can be costly. They can be anywhere from $12,000 to $20,000. And if you don't and are not prepared for that, then it's just a waste of money. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Social media in person, it's the same you.
That's so good.
I'm probably gonna let Tasia handle this after I'm done, but one thing that I've found is that consistency is key, right? Being able to post and having people expect to see something from you, but also piggybacking off what she said, it's like, who are you offline? If you're not the same person as you are online, then maybe you need to restructure like your brand so you can be consistent on and offline. And then another thing is like knowing your audience, right? Like knowing what your audience wants to see. I have mixed feelings about this because you're gonna get whatever I post. But if you know your audience, like my audience doesn't like the typical gym or workout or, you know, whatever stuff. They like nature photos. I took a picture of a caterpillar the other day and it got like 300 likes. I was like, okay, you guys like caterpillars. Right? But you know, it's kind of like knowing your audience and knowing like what they want to see, and then kind of curating that as long as it's on par with your brand and like who you are, instead of being that persona and what you think people want to see. Don't be the people pleaser.
So for me, it's
So I think for me, it's it's the most important thing to me is challenging societal norms. Like that is what being a millennial means to me, because from the time we're born, we are told how we should live. We are told what we should buy. We are told that we need to get a house and have a family and get married and have this life. And that's not meant for everybody. Not everybody's meant to go to college. Not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody's meant to be married. You know, like there are plenty of things that don't fit the mold and people that don't fit that mold. And I feel like it is our job to challenge every norm that doesn't feel right to us, even if it goes against what your family believes that you should have, because that's the hardest thing to overcome. When your family thinks that you should have and live and do this that way, when really, if you don't feel happy inside and you don't feel complete inside, you might need to remove yourself from that environment and figure out what you really want. So that's what it means to me, is like challenging that norm, that societal norm and conditioning that we've all been have been accustomed to. Just so I make sure I have the question correct, can you repeat it?
Yeah, just where do you gather inspiration, whether for yourself or your brand?
Honestly, I inspire the fuck out of myself. With the work that I do, so let me preface this. Being an entrepreneur is a lonely place. Show of hands again, who's an entrepreneur in here, or who's working for themselves or going to the right? Each one of you can attest that it's a lonely place, and most of the times there's nobody to talk to, and there's nobody around when you're struggling. So you have to inspire yourself. You have to create things that make you want to do better, or when you put out content, the reaction that people have usually is what inspires me. So when somebody says like, yo, like you're building this tiny home, what? Listen, where did you get the truck? Where did you get materials? How are you doing this? How are you building this? Like that motivates me to continue doing what I'm doing and continue to create content. Even if I don't know what's gonna happen with it, I'm just gonna put it out and hope that at least one person is inspired, because one is better than none.
Yeah, absolutely. Or shoot, even just investing in maybe even their social presence.
So she passed me the mic, I guess I'll answer this. So I actually wish I had more financial education. I think all of us can probably attest to that we wish we had more financial education going through school. Like I didn't get it until later on. And as an entrepreneur, I tell people all the time, if you're planning on doing this, make sure your family knows, make sure your friends know, make sure everybody around you knows, because those are the people that are gonna give you a couch to sleep on, they're gonna give you food, they're gonna pay your bills when you can't. Like, these are the people that are gonna be there for you. And not having that network in place when I jumped ship, it was tough. It was very tough. And so that's super important, but also figuring out your priorities. Like, can you actually do this right now? You might need to keep the 9 to 5 and save up some money. And, you know, once you have 3 months worth, go ahead and jump ship, because you're good. Within 3 months, you should be able to start a business. If not, you're doing the wrong thing. You need to go back to 9 to 5, and it's okay. But you just need to figure out the priorities. And something that a lot of people don't know, I actually talk about, I filed bankruptcy twice. And a lot of people think that's the end of the world. And it wasn't for me. Like, I got through it. I worked out deals with my credit cards, and I paid back whatever I needed to. It was on my record for 7 years. My credit score's gone back up. Like, these are things that we are feared, and they're scare tactics to make us rely on credit and make us rely on banks, when really, like, yeah, it matters, but if you're doing it, do it early on, do it quick, get over it, and build whatever you want to build. So
That's awesome.
I think one important thing as an entrepreneur is to let go of pride. And that may mean that you leave LA and you go back to your mom's house or your brother's house or wherever, because that means you can save up and accrue your money and do exactly what you want to do and not have any shame about it. I think that's the, once we get out of our parents' house, it's like, I'm not going back there. Fuck that. and then you find yourself in a predicament. I never ended up doing that until recently when I'm building my tiny home out in Maryland, but I just left LA in July. This situation is allowing me to stack so many bags right now. And I'm not ashamed of it because I'll come back here and I'll live here. But instead of making ends meet, LA is an expensive city. Like, we can all say that. It's expensive. And if you're not hustling, you're gonna sink. So letting go of that pride and actually figuring out what you need and trimming the fat. So you might not need that Hulu subscription. You might not need that Netflix subscription. You might just need a phone, internet, and your software tools or your creative tools to do whatever you need to do. And that's it. You might not be able to go out with your friends, and they might have to miss you for 3 months. But at the end of that, you're gonna be so well off, and you're gonna feel so good about what you accomplished, and you're gonna create a discipline in you that did not exist before. So I say you just have to focus and figure out what you really need to do. You know what you need to do. It's just a matter of accepting it and doing it.
All right, we have time for one more question. Okay.
Writing stuff down. I actually love whiteboards, and I found this actually stickable whiteboards, just a big sticker that you can stick on your wall. And I was like, where was this 3 years ago? I love drawing everything out, and even if I don't think it makes sense, I will draw everything out and connect the dots and chicken scratch all over the place. But I know it's going to transform into something. And some people may subscribe to this, some people may not. I actually listen to Mozart when I work. There's something called the Mozart effect. It's supposed to help you kind of be more effective at working or learn better. I don't know if it's true or not. It works for me. As soon as I put Mozart on, I put I know all the songs by heart, and I'll whistle them. That's when I know I've listened to it too long. But I put that music on and I just get in the zone. 3 hours later, I've gotten so much work done. So it's kind of finding maybe finding your playlist. Finding if writing in your phone or getting a moleskin out and drawing or a whiteboard works, but kind of finding your rhythm and then creating that rhythm every time you need to get something done, and pattern and consistency, because if you create that habit, then it's not going to be something you have to think about. You just do it.
No, go ahead.
One thing I just want to say is I wrote a book 2 years ago, and it's about self and just being okay with who you are and everything that comes with that. So, can I get everybody to stand for me, please? And I just want you guys to repeat after me as loud as you can, as strong as you can, and have that belief in it. So here it is. I will own my shit. I will own my shit. The good and the bad. And I will not accept any regret. Because to do so is disrespectful to my journey. Boom, there it is.